Returning for another reading now. This book. Molasses Moon. This will be the 9th video that I'm doing. And I'm going to go to the page where I left off. I was just introducing qualms bumping into everything in quantum physics, my new term. So I'll just start reading right there. They're the fastest, according to my mind. That's why qualms can bump everything else around until they get their way. Speed is king when it comes to power. It's just hard to do it, control your qualms here on Earth, in this time frame. Very, very hard. Just ask Mya. She'll say no. She says that to everything these days. No matter what you ask, she just says no. She always said yes before. She was a sweetheart. That was before she got drugged through 5 books after the rose and still didn't get any satisfaction as far as being seen or heard. So now I've done it. Explained how Ayn Rand relates to Shirley MacLaine, as in how the old laws of physics relate to quantum theory. Well, not really, not yet. I haven't explained how the power of choice is the key. But I've begun to clarify what I mean about there being an important relationship between time, consciousness, and physical reality. At least in preliminary. Maybe I'll let you stew for a while. See what you come up with before I really boggle your mind. Just remember that the old and new laws of physics do not contradict each other. Ayn Rand was right about that. There are no true contradictions. A is A, at least on the surface, until a qualm gets a good hold on it. But forget that. We haven't even come close to the level of consciousness to be able to change the essence or identity of something with a wish or a thought. It's just a matter of matter under mind. Wishful thinking doesn't work yet either. It will one day, though, if I get my way. And if we're ever ready for it. We have to get rid of some hazardous cultural poisons first. Not as environmentalists see it, but as in seeing clearly our own beauty as individuals and as a race. And in knowing that true self-sacrifice, neither glorious nor glamorous, is never necessary. But these are just my opinions. If you ask me if I believe my paradigm, I'll say yes. Until I see, read, or think something I like better that makes more sense. Well, heck, I thought I was finished with this chapter. But I didn't tell you about paradigm crystals. In my gem stories, each planet has a paradigm crystal at its core. The crystal holds the particular physical laws or game plan of the planet. The real laws, not the limitations made up by current scientific trends, though those are sometimes correct. As you can tell, my ego is back. It never left. When it does, I'll be dead. So would you be dead if your ego left. The crystals are usually the size of a plum, but an aura of energy repeats the crystalline pattern throughout the planet and out onto its atmosphere. Each planet has one. And sometimes, when a new age comes and heralds a dramatic diversion from the old ones, a change in the crystal, or a new one, is required. I told you we're going to think I'm crazy. But how is the idea of a paradigm crystal nuttier than a bad apple? I ask you. And you ask me, what's between the moon and New York City? The distance between I want and I have. Right now it spans the void of several universes, if you're looking between my Moon books and their publisher. But what's a few universes to an author who can explain time? Or at least spin a good yarn about it. How's that for a 5? Which is halfway to a 10. Just think, if you've come this far intact, you'll be a new person by the time you finish chapter 10. If I can't keep it up that long or continue, if I can keep it up that long or continue getting down to it. I can't promise you ascension by the end of the book. I can't even do that myself yet. Good Lord, it's only 1:15. And look what I've done today. But I meant to tell you why I think Laura Esquivel's book, Like Water for Chocolate, is totally wonderful. If we went to all the trouble to create physical reality in the hard times of Earth, just to touch more and better, we would surely be able to appreciate a book with extremely sensual recipes, tying beautifully to the theme of the essence of life being passion and the fulfillment of desire. And I didn't tell you why reading stories and how-to books relieve the pain of being stalled between I want and I have, and why romances are the best relief. Then there's more to capitalism. I want to buy my own copy of Like Water for Chocolate. I want to own a book as good as that. I think the Florence librarian, Mrs. Morelli. Oh, I thank the Florence librarian, Mrs. Morelli, though. She recommended the book so highly it stretched her normal 5 feet up a few inches. I checked out the book and gave her a promise to tell her what I thought of it. She said some readers didn't like the inclusion of the recipes. I understand how non-cooks might find them confusing, but they're an essential part of the book. So, if I believe in capitalism, how do state-supported libraries fit in? I like Mrs. Morelli and the Florence Library. But some people in town are trying hard to merge, oh my God, that word, that perfect place into the one in Canyon City. No, no, no. I have lots more to do. More chapters. Maybe by the time I finish this book, the moon will be closer to New York City, at least a few inches. Molasses, you know. Maybe it's just that my speed is so much faster than theirs, they can't catch me. Or maybe it's the other way around. We'll match it up one of these days. And here we come to chapter 6. Continuity between you and me. March 5th, 1994. Miss Laura Esquivel, author of Like Water for Chocolate. In care of Doubleday, New York, New York, 10036. Dear Miss Esquivel, having taught high school English in a small town in Oregon, I should like literary fiction. You'd think I would. I hate it. Too much of it is nothing more than a milquetoast hero whining about boredom, the "is that all there is" complaint. The Great Gatsby, one of the most masterful presentations of literary art, is depressing. I wish F. Scott had been a happier person, less plagued by guilt. With his skill, he could have written a book to cause mass ascension. No matter, you did. Thank you, Laura, for writing a wonderful work, Like Water for Chocolate, which finally presents something worth saying in an original format, with a light, warm, uplifting style. Not many writers can present painful situations with such sensual grace and pleasant ambiance. Actually, I can't name one outside of Ayn Rand, who authored my favorite novels, Atlas Shrugged and Fountainhead. Yet her work is painful to read in places. She has made her villains nearly too disgusting to grace the mind. Maybe it's the satisfying glorification of food and its preparation you do that make your book such a joy to read. I can't praise Like Water enough. If you owned a bookstore or restaurant, You could call it paradise without a qualm. Since reading Ayn Rand's novels, I've been craving another book which doesn't enshrine self-sacrifice. Though I can't find positive uses for some parts of human religions, I feel like I've had a religious deliverance having finally found a novel which supports the fire of life, even in death, rather than preaching altruism. Glory be. I've been writing my own books, not yet published, in order to get into print something I'd like to read myself. You've given me a pleasant, unexpected surprise with your highly original art. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My local librarian, Mrs. Morelli, recommended your book several times to pass my resistance to anything termed good literature. I avoid depression. I'm thanking her, too. Then I'm going to go out and buy my own copy of your book. In awe of your lively spirit, Linda. You may be paying B. Dalton for a copy of Molasses Moon before Laura Esquivel reads this letter. It will reside on a doubleday desk a while before being directed to Mexico, and who knows what procedure Miss Esquivel has implemented for delaying access to unrequested incoming mail. On March 7th, I received a surprise in my small and simple, unempty for once, P.O. Box 99. The aluminum framed, barren simplicity was adorned with a hand-addressed note from NYC. Jeff Herman had responded to my letters, 212 and 214, recomplimenting his guides, keeping in touch as he had requested, and wondering if he had meant with reality rather than with words. His note, dated 2/28, was postmarked 3/2. He wouldn't have yet received my 3/2 Molasses Moon letter. Now we have March 8, 1994, the Jeff Herman Agency, New York, New York, 10013. Dear Mr. Herman, received your note of 2/28 yesterday. I'm glad you like keeping in touch, as I like the idea myself. I think I'm going to pause right in the middle of a letter and halt this since I don't know how many minutes I've got going. And here's a view of the letter to Herman. And let's see, I think I'll pause there with the sun basting on my Kindle.